Hey, everybody. Can't wait to join you for this awesome webinar. My guest and star, Dr. D'Angelo. Can you hear me, D'Angelo?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. We might have a radio show here because for some reason, I keep hitting promote to panelist and I cannot seem to
join as panelist.
Yeah. Does it allow you to? Oh, yeah, you're good. All right, cool. I'll call you up in 2 minutes. I'll just click through a couple of these. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're on Facebook Live too. Should feel free to share with your friends. Oh, cool. Hey, D'Angelo, so I'm gonna share our pre-show here. Maybe
Sure.
some of these will make you laugh a little bit. If you think selling is not a bad word, if we think about selling help, right? We should be proud to sell that. On Black Friday weekend, all these stores are proud to sell us stuff. Remind me to ask you now, D'Angelo, pre-show. So one of my favorite restaurant groups. I would do this in my dental practice. So I'm actually leading you. I probably shouldn't have done it. They allow you to purchase a gift card and immediately get half the value of that gift card to send to a friend. And that friend can be yourself. So my favorite restaurant group, I purchased a $500 gift card. And they immediately sent me $250 as an additional one. And it was only on Black Friday. I want to try that in my dental practice.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean, you go there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I'm going to spend, embarrassingly well over $750 for the year. This restaurant group has like 10 restaurants.
Something that we've had people do similar, we have an in-house membership that we have, and it's something that some patients started doing. They started gifting memberships. Like we had someone come in and say, "Hey, how much is your in-house membership?" And I said what it was, and they said, "Can we gift that?"
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna make that for December. I think there's a lot of pressure, D'Angelo. This is part of our pre-show backstage. I think there's a lot of pressure around this Thanksgiving weekend with I've been doing stuff on nachos too. There's so much pressure on like Black Friday sale, Cyber Monday. It's great. And we have something for the people here, but I think you got all of December to kind of calmly roll out this, holiday good idea thing. I'm putting that down, gift a membership.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like one of my best patients. Just saw him the other day to reconnect his hybrid after 15 years. His wife made him go to the dentist for a New Year's resolution in 2005. He showed up mid-February, so that was New Year's resolution for him. I was 28 at the time. He hadn't seen a dentist in 30 years. But, I think if there was gifting a membership, his wife would have got it for him and probably kind of shamed him into using it. I'm going to share. This is one of my top tips here, D'Angelo, for dentists of any age or stage. Before signing an associate contract, what should dentists do?
Hire a tiny.
Really good advice. For more advice like this, text SURVIVE to 215-543-6454. Dental Nachos is dedicated to helping you survive and thrive in the real world of dentisting. It does drive me nuts, D'Angelo, that we're going to start our part 2 soon. But dental students will spend $400,000 on education.
Yeah.
Sometimes deservedly so, spend a few $1,000s on vacations during dental school. No judgment. I did that.
Absolutely.
But won't spend $750 on having an expert review a contract. And I deal with daily.
So it costs an attorney a couple $100 to look at this. No way, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And these 90-day termination notices, I'll just say up front, don't sign a contract.
I thought a lot about why do dental students not mind spending $400,000 or $500,000 on school, but they'll have pushback to $500 for a lawyer. And I think it's just because when they're in dental school, it feels like monopoly money. And when they're in the real world, it's like their own money and they don't want to spend it. But it was their own money before, just with interest.
And so this is what protects your major thing. And same thing goes with disability insurance. There's a poignant story right now of a dentist that I'm helping promote her study for the DAT course for $50 an hour because she got disabled in residency, has huge loans, and will never practice dentistry again. And that ounce of prevention, if she had just gotten a disability insurance plan to pay her $5,000 a month forever, she would be in a much better place. So those are two things.
Yeah.
That this is going to be, we're going to talk about this a number of times. D'Angelo's awesome DIY Facebook marketing class. We have a Nacho affiliate sponsor deal on this. He's going to tell us more about that soon, but feel free to take a screenshot, text in and get the deal on that. D'Angelo, I get this awesome opportunity to lecture across the country, old dentists, young dentists, medium-aged dentists, dental students, all these groups. And they say, you know, picture's worth 1,000 words, but a video is really worth it really explains the story. So people said to me,
Mhm.
what does dental school debt feel like these days? And this was during the pandemic. I want to just share that I only own 2 of these children, but this is what I came up with.
Go.
Okay, this is a dentist who graduated in the 1990s with debt. Oh, it's manageable. A little tough, but manageable. All right, off 1990s debt. Next, 2000s debt in the purple. Oh, this is my generation. Not easy, but the cost to go to dental school, probably at the high end, $200,000. Okay, off 2010 debt, green sweatshirt. Oh man, dental school pricing has gotten doubled, even though new grads are making the same. Dentist income is stagnant. Okay, 2020 debt. Everybody on here.
Yeah, what a great metaphor.
Next. Good. Good. Drew, can you get on?
Drew, get on the back. Get on the back.
Okay. Hold on, Drew. There's 2020. And I'm good at push-ups, Andrew. I could not move all of them. So I felt that was a good example. That always hits home when you do this. And we're going to ask a little bit about your practice today.
Sure.
One of the things that I think both divide and bond dentists together is this dental insurance challenge. And I would definitely want to dig into how you deal with dental insurance. But I think whether you are someone who takes 50 plans, 0 plans, dental student, about to sell your practice, I think this 10-second video is very important to pay attention to. Oh no, it's the Wicked Witch of dental insurance.
I'm going to reduce all of your fees.
But it costs more to run a practice.
I don't care.
So what I say, D'Angelo, is even if you take 26 plans and the Tasmanian Nacho dentist, we all know, takes 50 plans and someone takes 4 plans, throughout our journey, there's going to be a time where people reevaluate their relationship with an insurance plan and may go from 4 to 2, 30 to 25. And I think the trend of insurance is sending letters saying they're going to pay less for work that costs more is a troubling concern we should pay attention to, especially I know you're into overhead. So what are your thoughts on that before we jump into part 2 of our show?
So I just signed up for another one.
Oh no! What made you sign up for another plan?
To be honest with you, the fees, most of them, I would say probably more than half of the fees on the fee schedule were actually higher than my full office fees.
So great! I think that's that's
which is
awesome.
unusual, but I said yes to that.
I mean, what I think people do is, I'm going to ask you this, Andrew. What would you do if you were me? Not what would you do if you were you.
Yes.
So it's 2016. I have multiple dentists working for me. I get a letter from Spoiled Guac PPO that said, hey, you've been in network with us for 30 years in your office before I was even in dental school. And to reward you, they didn't say this part, we're going to lower your fees by 16%.
So I have a rule of thumb, actually, Paul, for if I decide I'm going to go in network with an insurance company or not, because I work with a lot of PPOs, but not all of them. My rule of thumb is if I imagined that every single patient I saw was at this fee schedule, would I still be able to make a good living?
Love that.
That I was happy with. And if the answer is no, I don't go in network with that plan.
Golden tip. I have to say, D'Angelo, if people looked at this, I mean, you're a fit guy. I joke and I say I want to stay in my dad bod fitness. You go to restaurants, sometimes they put the calories on the menu and you go, oh, you've ruined the loaded nachos. This is 3,000 calories. There are dentists out there that I think that's golden advice. Look at the cost, look at what they're paying. And if all of your patients paid that, would you stay in business? And I think a lot of dentists would say they wouldn't. So the difficult part of that is the only way those dentists stay in business, D'Angelo, is have their full fee or higher insurance paying patients subsidize.
They're subsidizing,
care. And that's something difficult to deal with. In that time in 2016, we tried it for a few more years. And we tried it for a few more years. We could not make it work. It was an immediate $100,000 reduction because 16%, that insurance company had written us checks for about $550,000 in 2015. So they're just saying, we're paying you 16% less, like more calories in your food. So we'll come back to that in a minute, but I want to catch everybody up. I am here with my awesome friend, Dr. D'Angelo Webster. This is part 2 of our series of a dentist earning $500,000 a year doing only the dentistry he learned in dental school. Dr. D'Angelo also has an amazing deal for our Nacho community as an affiliate sponsor on his DIY Facebook marketing class for new patients. As we dive into your story, deep in this, D'Angelo, I'm going to ask for some sequel stuff, but I'm going to guess that the unlock to a lot of what you do is your new patient flow. You put together a class on it. I say to people, and this is you can use this, sometimes say to our dental assistants, you got to make sure everything's sterile. You got to make sure everything's sterile. You got to make sure everything's sterile. And it annoys them, right? Because you're repeating yourself. And I say, I'm not repeating myself. I'm just reinforcing it because it's so important. I say, I'm reinforcing it. So reinforce for us why new patients are the unlock to a lot of your success.
Sure. I mean, so the reason why new patients are so important, at least for me, is that it kind of ties back to what the initial brand of my practice was going to be when I was opening it. So the goal for my practice is I wanted to be able to help take care of as many patients in the community as I could. And to do that, I knew I had to be affordable. And to me, well, let me rewind a little bit. So the reason that new patients are the most important thing is because at the end of the day, that is your customer. That is where the revenue comes from. It comes from taking care of people. Just like in a restaurant, your revenue comes from getting people to sit down at the restaurant and eat a meal. And sometimes they'll be really hungry and they'll order a ton. And sometimes they're going to be not so hungry and they're going to come in and get a salad. But at the end of the day, the more people you have sitting at the restaurant, the more revenue you have coming in and the more chances you have to make a good impression. So every person that comes in is another opportunity to make a good impression. And then they can tell their mom, their dad, their friend, hey, they're awesome. And then you get more people and it just kind of starts a flywheel effect.
And I think what you shared is many dentists say I get all of my patients through word of mouth, and many dentists are inaccurate in saying that. They don't realize that other marketing endeavors bring in those patients that then use word of mouth, right? And it would take a practice forever, ever, like an Outkast song, to just build through word of mouth.
Absolutely, Paul. And then this is something that maybe to the older crowd takes a little bit of more energy to wrap their mind around, but social media is word of mouth. That's where people talk.
Right. And also, D'Angelo, as I think about your story, and I've been, I'm not totally suggesting this idea, but your Facebook marketing, how much do you spend a month to bring in your 80 plus new patients?
So when I was like at the peak, like my average was 89. So when I was bringing in 89 a month, at that point I was spending about $450 a month on marketing. Because I'm having capacity issues now, I spend less. So now I'm down to like 180 or 200 a month on my marketing. And we're still bringing in probably 65 a month, but I intentionally scaled it back. And then I still track, like, how did you hear about our practice?
D'Angelo, I'm thinking I can't wait till we get to meet in person one day. You'll find me even more annoyingly likable. That's what people say about me when they meet me in person. But I think that I'm going to point out that you are hitting a point where you have too many new patients, right? I mean, I think I said to you once, is there such thing as too many new patients? I think you kind of said no. And now you're kind of reframing this. I'm just moving to a different room and ask.
I have too many new patients for one dentist.
Right. And we'll leave when you're going to get an associate next. Now, in case people are listening to this, I just want to share that they can text DAW to 215-543-6454. Text DAW to 215-543-6454. As I get into a better position in my home, as I see 4 of them are coming back, D'Angelo, share with our group. We've had so many people purchase this already. You've had people buy this resource, and I like cost, right? The list price of your Facebook marketing class is what?
$285.
And you're going to save with a Nacho deal. I want to keep this a little evergreen, so just text DAW to 215-543-6454 to get the best deal possible at this time. But someone invests this. I'm thinking, D'Angelo, even if an associate invested this and bought this, if my associate said to me for our second practice, hey, Paul, I want to take over the Facebook marketing. Give me a budget of $350 a month. I'm just going to do it. I would say, awesome, Dr. L, you go and do it. So
I mean, and for that $350 a month, I mean, if you get even one new patient and do an exam and x-rays,
and
like
just
you already broke even.
Tell the practice owner, can I see the new patients that we bring into this? I mean, so tell us Just break down a little bit of what they're going to learn in this course.
Sure. So in the course, you're going to be learning several things. The first thing you learn is like, what are you actually marketing on social media? So a lot of dentists make the mistake, and it's the most common thing when I hear them say, I tried marketing on social media, it didn't work. It's because they're marketing the wrong thing. On social media, you don't want to market dentistry. You're marketing your brand. And a lot of dental offices don't really have a defined brand. So the first thing we learn is what is that in the context of a dental office, and how do we develop a brand that's going to be effective and resonate? The next thing that we focus on is how to actually design and structure the ad. So there's structural components that basically I break down into a template of the pieces and what makes each aspect of the ad strong. And then we focus on how and where to target the ads to be most effective, with the big goal, as I say, of becoming the most famous person in a 5-mile radius of your dental office.
And
You'll have
D'Angelo,
more new patients than you know what to do with.
tell us a little bit about whether this is valuable for a new dentist, a seasoned practice owner. You're going after a specific type of audience, kind of painting a picture of your patient. Your practice collects $900,000 plus on 45% overhead. Why is it so important to know your specific patient you're going for?
Sure. And that goes back to the brand. Like when you're designing your brand, you're creating an identity that a certain person is going to resonate with. So when you're making ads, there should be like a model ideal person who this ad is attracting. That's who you're talking to. Just like when we're giving this seminar right now, Paul, like we know we're probably talking to dentists. You know,
Right.
if we were talking to football players, this wouldn't
Yeah.
really mesh. So we have to know who we're talking to. And so for me, I know that for my practice, I have a bread and butter, simple dentistry practice just for regular families. So my ideal prototype person that I'm talking to is a mom with probably a spouse, maybe a couple kids, a couple parents. So around age 45, which is why Facebook marketing was great. Because when I looked at the average age of social media platform users, the average age of a Facebook user was about 46 years old, which is exactly what I wanted. Instagram at the time was like 29 years old, and TikTok's probably younger. So for exactly who I'm talking to, that person from a social media standpoint is spending most of their time on Facebook.
And
So
I think that's key, because sometimes dentists are they're misaligned with who they're marketing for. I mean, tell us why, I want to dig into some of the details of what you do every day, D'Angelo. And I have, please remind me to put up my special gift for you, Patrick Winston, How to Speak on YouTube, because he says, build a fence around your idea whenever you're talking. So why are you not marketing for full mouth implant cases? Why are you not marketing for veneers?
Sure.
Why are you not marketing even for molar endo?
Because I'm not good at any of those things, and there's dentists who are way better at that, and I could become good at those things if I put a lot of time, energy, and CE, but I haven't, and I don't want to, because I like doing basic dental school dentistry. I like showing up and doing fillings and doing a single crown and making a basic denture. That's what I like to do. It does not bring me any stress. I just show up to work and I know I'm going to have a predictable, good day 99% of the time.
Well, predictability is so important. Predictability is so important to profitability, whether you're a restaurant, whether you're a hair salon. I got my beard trimmed today, ready to go go to the New York meeting. My barber does what he does. He cuts hair, does beard trims. He doesn't do highlights, right? He does not do highlights for people, because when you don't do things predictably well, you can't be profitable. And also, you said something even more important. You don't really like to do things you're not good at. Most of us don't like to do that. And you have dentists in the area just simply refer to. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. My specialists probably love me because I send so much stuff out. I refer a lot, Paul, and I think at the end of the day, that's a big part of my, honestly, probably a big part of my profitability, because I don't do procedures that are going to be unpredictable in my schedule or things that I'm uncertain about. I will stretch a little bit because, we always want to grow and improve. But if I see a case and I'm like, I don't know, I just refer it to someone who does know, and then I don't have any stress.
Most of us, and this has really nothing to do with money and more about a morale. D'Angelo, I've been a dentist for 20 years. Know what? You don't regret doing that. You regret saying, I'm going to try to take this tooth out. Next thing you know, everybody's late and you have a problem. I'll tell you one quick story. When I was a new in my practice. I did a 3-year GPR. It extracted probably thousands of teeth. I was the chief resident. So my dad's partner said, oh, we have Paul's here and he does extractions to a brand new patient, a 42-year-old guy. I was 28. He was in my schedule for 2 hours for 5 upper extractions. I looked at him. I said, these are going to be impossible. So I did my verbal ninja tricks. And I said, my job is to get you to the best dentist possible. And I know you reserve this time. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to call my oral surgeon and see if she can get you in today. She kindly did, right? So I gave up the production because I knew in my stomach it was going to be bad, D'Angelo. I gave up the production. I referred him. This was back in like 2006. So remember, no cell phones really.
Yeah.
I called him that night because I just wanted to be a nice person and say, how did it go? Didn't pick up the phone. Next day, he said, hey, Dr. Paul, thanks for calling me. The oral surgeon had such a tough time getting these teeth out. It took her over 90 minutes to do this. I was in such pain. And while I was not glad that he had a difficult time, I was really glad I made that, hey, it's just time to punt a decision.
It's time to punt sometimes, and that's okay.
Let's deepen for part 2 a little bit, D'Angelo, because people are saying, tell us. So let's just break down the numbers. Your P&L in 2021. If someone's the first time they ever heard of a P&L, we're just walking them through it verbally. The top numbers, the money you bring in.
Yeah.
What was that amount about?
I don't have it in front of me, but it was about $960,000.
$960,000. You started this practice in 2017. Is that accurate?
That is correct. The very end of 2017. So I only worked a couple of weeks in 2017, but yes.
So you grew a startup practice to $960,000. And I admire this every time we talk. Most overhead for general dentist is 65%.
65%.
Agree on that? Your overhead is what?
For 2021, I believe it was about 40%.
So this left you with what income as a newish dentist practice owner?
Approximately $520,000, I think.
$520,000 doing the dentistry you learned in dental school.
Yes.
So this is to inspire others. You know, if I want to shoot 3-point shots and I see Steph Curry taking half-court 3-point shots, I'm inspired. Sometimes it's discouraging, but I'm inspired. We take those 2 numbers on your P&L, D'Angelo, the top and then the income. Tell us some of the secrets inside of that P&L. Someone's saying, hey, I got a P&L and I bring in $1 million, but I'm only profiting $250,000. I got 75% overhead. What are some secrets inside of Dr. D'Angelo's P&L to keep that overhead at such a low rate?
So there's kind of 2 categories of that. The category 1 is the big category, and category 2 is smaller, but also very important. Category 1 is the big fixed overhead costs that are established before you ever see your first patient at your own practice. So the big fixed overhead costs are typically the biggest chunks of money coming out of your bank account every month, which is going to be, or 2 of the biggest, which is going to be your rent or mortgage, so your facility cost. So you really want to be mindful of if you're overpaying for rent or if you're overpaying for your mortgage. And number 2 is going to be the practice loan.
Let's stop for 1 second because I saw this a few times just this weekend on rent.
Yeah.
What's your rent as a percentage roughly of your total collections?
So mine is a mortgage, Paul, because I own the building. My story, just like much of my story, it's not the same as a traditional dentist. So I bought a dilapidated, abandoned building that many people did not see value in. There was broken glass everywhere, trash bags on the window, and basically the seller just wanted to unload it. So I purchased it for a very, very affordable amount. My mortgage each month is, I think, $1,020.
So, I mean, you have a 1% of your.
It's 1%. Yeah, it's about 1%.
And just so everybody doesn't totally freak out, because that is exceptionally low.
Right.
When I do practice transitions, someone just asked me. They said the rent.
No, that's less than 1. Is that 0.1%? I think that's
$12,000 over $1 million. Yeah, well, actually, sorry.
It's 0.1%.
Yes, because 10% is 100. No. 10% is $100,000, right?
Yeah.
1% is $10,000.
So it's
but you pay for the year. Yeah, you pay for the year 1%. But what's normalish for people listening when you is like 5%
facility costs? You'll see facility costs between 5 and 10%.
Yeah. So, but I just want to share with you, someone asked me, someone wants me to buy a practice and they won't budge on the 20% rent. I said, don't buy it. I mean, just it's
Don't buy
there's
it.
not much more you need to
Don't
know
buy
that.
it.
That's just, yeah, that's just
Because
out
that's
of line.
forever. That is
Right.
forever. You know,
Um,
like if you're paying, I don't know, 10,000, let's just make a really high number, 10,000 a month in rent. That is $120,000 per year that comes directly off of your income. You
Yeah,
know,
you're going to need a $2.4 million practice to make that work.
Yeah.
I'm going to just share that you could text DAW but for two things, text DAW to 215-543-6454 for the best deal on D'Angelo's Facebook marketing class and to see part 1 of this webinar. So we talked about the rent and facility costs. Then you were going to talk about the practice loan. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the practice loan is a big one because that's another huge cost, got interest on it, and you pay it for at least a decade most often.
Right.
And it's every month, thousands and thousands, and it really takes away from your income. And this is something I always say, really look at this and think about it when you're buying a practice. Like we talk about startups a lot. Think about it when you're buying or acquiring an office and you're looking at the profit and loss statement or income statement of the selling dentist. And they're like, hey, this person made, $300,000 a year. That's pretty nice. Well, now you have a huge loan because you paid $1 million for the office. So you take that same, if everything else stays the same, you say you have that same $300,000 profit, but you're paying $150,000 every year in your loan costs. Well, your profits just went from 300 to 150.
Yeah.
You could have stayed an associate, without
What's
all
interesting,
stress.
and you and I talk about all sides to this nacho plate.
Mhm.
An associate job where someone's making $350,000 a year over year with a spouse that might be making $190,000 a year, maybe buying a practice is not right
It's
for
not
them
the idea.
unless they are going to make some sort of, because this is one thing, D'Angelo, I think both of us can talk about with our businesses, both are inside the operatory and outside the
Mhm.
operatory businesses.
Yeah.
There's people watching in here on Zoom. Please feel free to use the Q&A to ask questions. There's going to be people watching on demand later. You're always thinking, Gary Vee says this, when do you stop worrying about your business? Easy. When do you stop worrying about your kids? Never. Right.
Never.
So no matter whether you make 7, 8, 9 figures, so tell us about how do you manage your dental practice so that it doesn't totally erupt into your work-life balance? What are some systems? I mean, you have this lean, mean practice. You have
Yeah.
a young family. What do you do? Systems you use to strive to
Mhm.
protect your work-life balance as a practice owner?
For that, I'm going to say 3 things. And, it's just striving because sometimes with work-life balance, there's times where it's not the right time to be balanced. Sometimes
Right.
it's time to really just go all in for your family. Sometimes it's time to really just go all in for your practice. But 3 things that I would say is number 1, put dedicated time in the schedule during the week to do administrative work and business building work. So for me, that's Tuesday afternoons. Every Tuesday afternoon, the practice closes at 12. And then I've got a couple hours to work on the business and do administrative things. Number 2 is to write out and really structure how you're going to spend your time, like schedule your time out of the operatory as well. So, I don't just say, okay, it's Tuesday afternoon, my administrative time. What am I going to do? I say, it's Tuesday afternoon, my administrative time. This week, I have to work on these 3 things and get them done. And then at this time, I'm going to do this, I have to make this phone call, and then it's structured and I can see where my time is and then see where my free time is so that I can, allocate my life appropriately. Number 3, having a young family. Something that we never really want to do is impose the workload of our business on our family because that doesn't always feel great to them. So I do something that maybe not everyone wants to replicate, but it's something that I got from Kobe Bryant. It's something that he wrote about in one of his in his books and something he talked about in interviews. Because people say, Kobe, you're always training basketball all the time, but you also drop your kids off to school every morning. Like, how do you do it? And he says, well, I just get up really early and I work out before my family wakes up and I take them to school, have breakfast with them, and then I go back to work. So something that I'll do is, for example, sometimes on my days off, I know I've got work to do, but it's Dad's day off and family wants to go to the petting zoo, like something we did today. And I don't want to say, hey, I've got work to do. I'm not going to the petting zoo with the family because that's not very nice. So I'll get up early, do my work, and then the whole day is ahead. So I like to get up early. I like to get up early, get things done.
I mean, those are such great tips. I mean, I always say everything that matters needs a system, and everything matters from all the things we do. And dentistry can just be all consuming if you let it be. And it's just important to strive. That's my word for try, D'Angelo. So my team says, I'll try. I go, I think you mean strive. When someone says, I'm going to try to do better, I think you mean strive. It's just this different energy. One of the things I want to bring to life is you did this the other day, and what some of, Dental Nachos has a lot of raving fan followers, and so does Practice Biopsy. That's your Facebook founding group. Dr. Rehan and his brother, they're on Dentist Job Connect right now. They just did an amazing thing where they dropped off Thanksgiving food to people.
Yeah,
You do this
they're on their third or fourth practice now, Paul.
Yeah, they're on Dentist Job Connect. So if you want to work with them, I just go to dentistjobconnect.com. They're great. But tell us about this doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but matters type of pie drop-off thing. Just tell the story of that. I'm impressed by it, but you did it this year. Tell us what you do.
So the pie drop-off, that's something that they did, and that's something that they mentioned me because they got the idea from me. It's something that I've done with my son the last 3 years now. We go to Costco, we buy a bunch of giant pumpkin pies for the holidays, and we tie them up with a bow, and we put a nice handwritten letter with them, and we take them to our neighbors, our local businesses. And that just kind of goes with the brand of our practice of kindness and giving back to the community, which is important for us. And it builds positive word of mouth. And when those people, when they think of a dentist or their tooth hurts, they think of us. And so we can get patients through that way. We can build goodwill in the community. And also it's shareable content. So when you get those really nice photos like they had, the people who work in those businesses will see that, and the friends and family of the people who work in those businesses will also see that. So they might be the sister of the receptionist at the insurance place where they brought a pie, and then when that person's tooth hurts, they say, hey, the place that you work at, didn't a dentist bring a pie? Well, my tooth kind of hurts. I think I'm going to go there, versus calling up a random dentist they've never heard of.
I love that. I love that story because, it's doing good while doing good, as the cliche shows, making people feel better. You're doing it without an agenda, but you're doing it with a reason, right? You're giving people these pies to make them feel good. You're sharing good, but you know that this is the stuff that really matters in bonding, as a dentist term would use, to the community. I just had a new patient on Tuesday. I did some videos on it and tagged you. I always say, this is the 5 things I say to new patients. I think I said it last time. Hi, my name is Dr. Paul. I'm so glad that you're here. I know going to the dentist is not everyone's favorite place to be, so be proud of yourself for coming. I just have one question for you. What can I do to make you happier? So I said this to a patient today who hadn't seen the dentist in years, who was there with his spouse, who kind of dragged him in. And I said to the spouse, oh, how did you hear about us? He said, I worked at a joint replacement, Rothman Institute, and someone was getting a clearance and they were going to you as a dentist. And they just said such nice things about you that I remembered it. And even though she's at a totally new job, she remembered that. So that's how this whole marketing, morale, new patients matter so much. And, I don't know if the right word is democratizing, D'Angelo, but the ability to use Facebook. And I know you have this course, and people can text DAW to 215-543-6454 to get your course. Proud to have you as an affiliate sponsor. I highly recommend everyone gets it. I was listening to it, watching the dog. But just to pull back for a minute, Gary Vee talked about this. Facebook has allowed you to market like a big company that would have 7-figure budgets. So just reinforce what Facebook is creating out there for dental patients.
I mean, for me, it created an opportunity that I never would have otherwise had. I did a startup straight out of dental school, pretty much, which means there's 0 patients. Earlier in this talk, Paul, you mentioned how older dentists will rely on word of mouth. When you do a startup, there is no word of mouth. There's no one there, just you. So Facebook allowed me to get in front of tens of thousands of people in my community and introduce myself to them in a positive way for a couple $100. I mean, that's not possible any other way. If you send out flyers in the mail, 1, they're going to probably get thrown in the trash, but 2, they cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, I'll challenge something in a friendly way. So my friend, that
absolutely,
our current direct mail campaign is doing amazingly well, right? It's doing amazingly well.
Yeah.
it's a $50,000 a year cost. And the only reason it's doing well, D'Angelo, for us is because some of the cases that have brought in bring us in $60,000, right? So these are big swings, and you just can't do that on a startup budget.
No.
It took me years into practice to even consider doing it, right? So
yeah, it's a big swing, and then with a startup especially, you don't have a big baseball bat, Paul.
Right. Yes, exactly. You know, big baseball. And also one of the things that I think, you know, I want to spend about 10 more minutes with you, but there was a great poll this weekend about if you want to drop insurance, and I know you don't want to, but what skill do you need to work more on, clinical or communication? Communication won, right? But very few people take communication CE. You talked about my friend Chris Phelps, who may become a Nacho sponsor. So why you're here saying, hey, dentist, maybe dial down your energy on new clinical skills and dial up your energy, your effort and expense on communication. Tell us your why for that.
Sure. I mean, the why for community. So you could be the best dentist in the world, have the most amazing clinical skills in the world, but if someone doesn't like you, they're not going to let you work on their tooth. So it's null and void. And likability comes down to your communication, the way you communicate verbally, non-verbally, and all the different cues that your communication sends to them. Not only your personal communication, but the way your team communicates, both verbally and non-verbally. And also, to tie to marketing and new patients, marketing is communication. Marketing is communicating the brand and message of your practice to the community to say, one, I'm here. Two, this is why you should come here. And you have to communicate.
And it really boils down to this, and this is one of the things I want to point out. So our last YouTube video, D'Angelo, I think is up to 1,500 views. Really good for me. Great value shared. This one just has a few more. How to Speak by Patrick Winston has 13 million YouTube views. He just passed away a few years ago. I'm someone who does about 4 things well, but one of them is public speaking. I've done it for years to dentists, but you're public speaking to your patient every day in the operatory. And before every big event, I listen to this. I've listened to this at least 10 times. I encourage everyone to Google How to Speak by Patrick Winston. It is free to listen to on YouTube. Coincidentally, D'Angelo, it's an MIT lecture to college students about how to present themselves for their first job, how to present themselves first job. And what you said is the missing link. I mean, dentists think I'm going to take more veneer classes, but they're not confident in talking about their dentistry. So they continue to, I don't want to say waste money, but they continue to invest money and time in the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and just from the structure of that, like I can tell just from the screenshot of this image you have up on the screen, like this guy, there's literally an equation on there.
Right,
so this guy very obviously has a system for communication, like a system and structure to predictably communicate well. You take a big veneer course and your technical skills are flawless. You've got all the skills down. You can do these amazing veneers. And then when you go to present it to the patient, you're just opening your mouth and hoping for the best. Like you put all of this investment in, but when it's time to actually make it happen, you just open your mouth and hope for the best.
And one of the things I say, D'Angelo, what every young dentist should do, practice referring to other people. Talk about implants, refer them to a periodontist. Talk about and see if you can get good at the talking before you invest in the doing. Because if you never get, and you could say, and you're helping your patient, hey, I'm a new dentist. You don't have to say new dentist. I'm a dentist in this practice that's so excited to help patients like you. You've put a lot of wear on your teeth over 30 years. There are special dentists that help rebuild them. And it's such a great idea to restore your teeth cosmetically and functionally. There's a prosthodontist that helps us. How about you do a consult? Trying that, it's 5 minutes of talking. See if your energy and body language can get people to see a prosthodontist. Because if it can't, they're not. And I know there's a whole go out of the office or not, but you're successul. Your prosthodontist has his own special shelf for you, right?
He does. He has a special shelf with my name on it for all the cases I've referred him.
and I do like to be sarcastic as humorous, but I always say to be a good dentist, D'Angelo, you have to be very good at selling. To help as many people, you have to be good at selling. And many dentists recoil and say, Paul, what's wrong with you? We're not here to sell things to people. This book, How to Sell as Human by Daniel Pink, is one of the most transformative books I've ever listened to in my whole life. But why do you think there's this big hang up around selling the dentist? Is it dental school? Is it healthcare? Is it self-esteem? I'm totally curious to hear your thoughts.
I think there's just a stigma around sales in general, because when we think when we think sales, I think like stereotypically we think like the sleazy salesperson, and maybe like we've been sold something in the past where we felt like we got ripped off, and we just correlate that feeling with like the sleazy salesperson. And then we don't want to be like that. You know, we want to be totally different. We want to be a healthcare provider. And I think at some level, when we decide to be healthcare providers, a lot of us, a lot of dentists, a lot of doctors, they want to say health is first. And in dental school, it really engrades like public need, public service. And at some base level, we probably all would love to do our dental work for free. To say this person's mouth is in pain, it's broken down, I would like to help them, and I would like to help them for free if I could. But it doesn't work that way. So there's a little bit of internal conflict, I think, with that.
I'm with you, but I'm also going to share this. I was just talking
Yeah.
to a resident today. This is one of my new quotes. If you don't pay, you don't pay attention. If you don't pay, you don't pay attention. They can
Yeah.
hand out free gym memberships to Philadelphia and say, you can come to this gym for
Yeah,
free
I
for
won't
the
go.
next year. You don't pay, you don't pay attention. I've done a tremendous amount of donated dental care,
As have I.
and
Yeah.
most of it goes well. Most of it does. And this is not a judgment, but when people are not paying for something, they do not always value it in the same way as paying. So I think creating opportunities for people to achieve dental health in creative ways, and I still do donated dental care, to kind of bring you to this. So this is back to why I always say, if it doesn't help, it doesn't matter, D'Angelo, and be proud to sell help. And
Yep.
this patient back in 2008 found us through an advertising program called Yodel, D'Angelo.
Mhm.
It was a pay-per-click when that was new, right? So this is Paul Goodman, 2008. I said, we got to invest in pay-per-click. My dad said, what the heck is that? I go,
Mhm.
Dad, we need to bring in patients to do the work that I like to do, implants. So during the pandemic, D'Angelo, I don't know if that was stressful for you, but pretty stressful for me. This patient came in. I was 30 years old when I met him. I'm now 45 or 31 when I met him. Came in like 2007.
Mhm.
I said, Rick, I got his HIPAA consent. I need you to get in the chair. You want to know why, Rick? Because you're one of my favorite patients. It's very stressed right now, and I want to do a story to make myself feel better, but I also will help other people. So he went to see the hygienist. His fixed hybrids are awesome. He met me when he was like 51 years old.
Mhm.
All of his teeth were decayed, met us through pay-per-click, well put together. I thought I was literally in the wrong room for the consult. My team says, your next patient needs all of his teeth out. I walked in, I saw him put together, great sneakers, before sneakers were a thing, D'Angelo, by the way. He was wearing Pumas back in 2007, and he opened his mouth, all decayed teeth. I didn't judge him, but I gave him all the options for fixing his mouth. And tell me, when you watch this video, how would this help in a Facebook advertisement? We've used it, and tell me what you think of this story. Hey, dentists and friends, it's Paul Dr. Nacho. I'm sitting with one of my favorite people and patients on earth. We did a full mouth implant case back in 2008 when I was only a 31-year-old dentist. Came in today to get it, for us to look at it. It looks awesome. Life-changing impact of dental implants. I'm going to ask Rick, what has been the best part of having these teeth?
Oh, I could smile anytime I want, and I can eat anything I want, and they feel like my real teeth.
That's just so cool. And if someone was saying, my patients, they're not going to go for it because it's too expensive, was the financial investment for you worth it?
Oh, without a doubt, 100%. I would do it again if I had to.
Yeah,
So
so there's a lot of good things about that, Paul. So with an effective Facebook ad in particular, you want to kind of have a prototype person where people in the community can look and say, that guy or that individual reminds me of me. And that patient that you had there said a couple good things. You know, he couldn't necessarily eat how he wanted to. He couldn't necessarily smile how he wanted to, even worried about being able to afford it. And then someone watching that might say, you know what? I can't eat how I want to, and I can't smile how I really want to smile, and I don't know if I can afford it. But this guy could, and he kind of sounds like me. So next time they have a toothache, they might not even call right when they see that ad. But next time they have a toothache, or someone in their family says, "Oh, your teeth are a mess," and they feel a little bad, who's the first person they're going to think of? They're going to think of that guy from the ad and Dr. Paul and say, you know what, I'm going to give them a call. Or will they think of the random dentist who sent them a flyer in the mail?
Yeah, I mean,
Probably Paul and the guy in the video.
I love that because it's relatable. And I know, I'm going to now take this and put it towards your Facebook marketing course. People can text DAW to 215-543-6454 to get the best deal possible. But here's what happens. when you're the dentist in the office, people know you love your dental office. They know what you create. They think you stay up all night thinking about crowns and fillings, whether it's true or not, right?
Mhm.
But we're never viewed as normal. But Rick is viewed as normal
Rick is
because
viewed as
he's the
normal.
arm
Yeah.
length away. Your course, even though it's an incredible deal at under $300 and they get a deal, when they go to practicebiopsy.com,
Mhm.
they're going to see Rick's, right?
Mhm.
Tell us about people who've taken this course and the impact it's had on them.
Sure. I mean, so from dentists who have taken this course, if you go on the website, you'll see a lot of testimonials. But off the top of my head, I think of a particular doctor who has spent a lot of money on marketing and wasn't having great results. And then literally within the first couple weeks, they spent a couple $100 and they had like 7,000 patients within a few miles of their practice see their ads, and they started getting all these new patients come in right away. And there's another one that I think of who was a newer practice owner. And when they put the things into effect, within 2 months, they had 200 new patients for a couple $100. And not every case is going to go that well implementing these things. But I always will say, if you implement these things, your marketing will be a little better. And even if you get one new patient, let alone hundreds or thousands, you're gonna break even on the little
And
bit.
I mean, that I love that you go to practicebiopsy.com to see these testimonies. You know, I have communication courses. You know,
Mhm.
I have one that we're doing right now on how to reframe dental insurance, whether you're in network with 47 spoiled walk PPOs or totally fee for service. And, you know, with our deal this weekend, maybe people are investing $900 in it, D'Angelo, but they get skills you use forever. You don't know
Yeah.
when these things come back up. It's just like the basketball skills, the workout skills, the financial fitness skills. If I can implore dentists and at any age or stage, especially new dentists, this is your career. This is your core. Embrace these learning opportunities, because just like Facebook gave you, D'Angelo, the opportunity to market like you were a big company through the power of online CE and courses, they're giving dentists every age and stage stuff, D'Angelo, that I would have had to pay 5 figures for. I mean, this didn't exist when I was a new dentist. There was no Dr. Todd Fleischman, Travis Campbell, and Paul. There's no D'Angelo Webster. It was like you had to invest a lot of money to go to a center, and you couldn't do that. So you basically stayed home. So, I mean, as you emerge from new dentist to newish to medium age, what would you say to the dental students and new dentists in terms of embracing online education or education that's at an affordable price?
I mean, there's a ton that goes into that. I mean, at the affordable price, again, make the comparison of how much you spent to go to dental
Right.
school, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Spend a little bit to learn something that you couldn't otherwise learn on your own. Because I love books. I read tons of books. I learn a ton of stuff on my own. But sometimes I need a little bit of guidance, and a course
Right.
is the way to do that. And when I take courses, I like to take courses from dentists who I kind of know a little bit, or I kind of know how to reach out to a little bit. So if I take a course
Right.
from Dr. Ankur Gupta, who I think you know, or from Chris Phelps,
Yeah.
or from you, I know that these are people who are present on social media. So if I have a follow-up question, I can just reach out to them.
Yeah.
Versus like, you see a ADA magazine and there's a random CE in there, and you go to the course and you kind of raise your hand and ask a question or two, but then you never see them again. You never hear from them then. You don't really know who they are, and they don't know who you are, and it's just over, and then you kind of forget.
Right. It happens in a vacuum. And, you know, I think
Yeah.
one of
And
my,
a lot of time, again, just to interject with
Sure.
the online ones, you can watch them again.
right. Yes. My business coach said, you know, every play you got to see twice, first to orient yourself, second to understand the story.
Yeah.
And that's a play for entertainment. Imagine the tip for your career. You know, I'll say that conference equals confidence. I remember distinctly, maybe about 2 years ago, you were texting me on the weekend about a practice management challenge, and
Mhm.
we were texting back and forth. I think we even talked on the phone. I don't think I actually told you anything you didn't know
Mhm.
yourself, but I think I just gave you the confidence to move forward as
Yeah.
someone who had dealt with, you know, you're 3 years out. I'm 17 years out, and I've
Mhm.
seen more than you. So I think when you develop these relationships with people who are just beyond you a little bit, and you can text them or call them and say,
Yeah.
hey, Dr. Mark Costas, you know, what do you think of this? Hey, Dr. Chris Phelps. I mean, it's just, that's what dentistry should be more about. And I applaud you, D'Angelo, for being a young dentist, encouraging your generation to do this, because what happens is I seem like the medium age guy saying, you know, you should do this. And it really is, you should do it. I mean, the amount of free and low fee stuff that dental students can get at this time is just, it's never been better at a time where dentistry is going through changes that are really concerning. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a great amount of CE out there, and there's some really good ones. You just gotta find them, because you gotta take them. Like if you want to keep your license, you have to take CE.
Yeah.
So find some good ones, and find some ones that are with doctors that you like, and who will actually talk to you and reach out to you if you got.
Yeah, you got to listen to their voice on the show. Well, I love talking about this, D'Angelo. You're fantastic. Just wrap up with, if someone was listening and they just jumped in right now and they wanted to follow you, whether it's on Facebook, your website, check out your practice website, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Sure, best way to follow along, join the Facebook group Practice Biopsy, or you can go to practicebiopsy.com, which has CE, videos on dental business management, and a bunch of blog articles that I've written that have kind of mapped out the journey of my startup and helpful things I've learned along the way.
Awesome, D'Angelo. And for us, you just reach out to us at dentalnachos.com, and to get the best deal possible as an Awesome Nacho affiliate sponsor, just text DAW to 215-543-6454.